Hi everybody, it's Nikki and I'm here to do another video that's my personal experience, not to be used as medical advice. I am just sharing some information from another Medtronic call the other day. Before I say anything, I'll say pardon my hair. I did have surgery 8-9 months ago, something like that, 10 months ago. My hair is growing back in really slowly and maybe not at all, so I don't know. But I'm sick of wearing my headband, so it's time. Okay. So I called Medtronic the other day because I wanted to find out from them what their most recent recommendations were as far as automotive is concerned, across the board, whatever it is. Do they have any tips or tricks? Do they have anything that they had figured out worked? Anything that they figured out didn't work? I was willing to just sit and listen to what they had to say. It has been a long time since I've been in auto mode. I've learned a lot and changed a lot in the time that I've been away from it. And so for all I know, or for all I knew up until a couple days ago, maybe auto mode also had changed. There's a chance. Anyway, that's what I was hoping for anyway. Okay, so very nice representative. We had a nice long conversation, about an hour and a half in length. And there were general questions. And I actually think that she started off the phone call just general auto mode stuff. She starts off by saying auto mode does take a look at manual basal rates in manual mode. I think I just said that. Okay, so it doesn't commit to it. It's not a calculated part of it. She said it's something that it considers and it maybe tries to kind of mimic somewhat what your basal rates are in manual mode. It's a little bit soft because you would think either it's a calculation or it's not, but basically she said it's a way for it to see your very general patterns, and it takes it into consideration, which I think actually makes sense. I did feel like there were way too many coincidentally close auto delivery rates that were just like my manual mode, but maybe that's because there is or not. Okay. I asked her about 6 days. I was told somewhere along the line that auto mode is able to remember 6 days worth of your insulin delivery. And I feel like I've heard that a lot. I don't know where I heard it. What she said was that no, it can remember a lot more. She says the transmitter has a storage, and then she didn't really explain what that, what that meant. But she said that it's not that it's remembering a certain specific amount of time as much as it is comparing itself to similar time periods. So she said, so for Tuesday morning, if you have a high blood sugar on a Tuesday morning, it's possible that that same time over the next couple of mornings, it's going to check back in with you. Or if you had a high blood sugar on a Tuesday morning, it's possible that the next Tuesday morning, it's going to check in with you. I don't know. I guess that could be. She says she does not know where 6 days came from. It's got a much bigger memory than that, and it's able to go further back than that. I told her I was getting ready to go into auto, so she offered this bit of information. She said, upon starting with a new pump or a replacement pump, she said you don't have to wait a week to go into auto. That's what I was told a long time ago. I think that's usually what most people believe, that we have to be in manual mode for a week or 2 weeks, or some people say 3 weeks. And she says, no, that's not true. That is what the auto mode warm up is for. She said that's what it does. It takes all of your information. It figures out your patterns or trends, whatever. And that's it. She said the only time you can't, the only time that you need to go into the auto mode warm up is when you haven't been receiving insulin through your pump. So that would be in the case of receiving a new pump or a replacement pump. Or in my case, because I was doing injections for a couple of weeks, my pump wasn't delivering. She said, so for those things, you do need to go into the auto mode warm-up period for 2 days. But any other time, if I'd been out for 9 months, had I been in manual for 9 months, then I could have just gone right into auto anyway, and bypassed the whole warm-up. So, okay, there was that. These are just kind of facts that she was sharing with me, possible facts, because, I don't know if they're facts until we figure out that they're wrong, maybe. She was very nice. Okay. Then she says, I asked her about returning to manual mode for insulin. I did tell her that my last time in auto mode that I just felt like auto didn't give me enough insulin. I said the last time I was in auto mode that Medtronic really pushed staying in auto mode and letting it learn you and letting it learn that you need insulin. I couldn't stand it. It drove me up the wall. So what she said was, don't stay in it. She was like, if your blood sugar is starting to rise and you really feel like Otto's not handling it, get out into manual mode, do a correction, and then she said, then go back into auto mode. She says Otto is able to observe this and is able to calculate the amount of insulin that you needed, and is able to incorporate that into its algorithm over the next couple of days. So if I go out, I get 2.5 units of a correction, and then I return to Otto, and my blood sugar doesn't plummet from it, that supposedly in the days to come, Otto will then realize that I needed 2.5 units of insulin. Again, I'm not sure if this is true. I know people are told different things, and a lot of people are told to stay in Otto and let Otto learn it. But it doesn't sound like that is a consistent thing that's coming out of Medtronic. It sounds like they are also encouraging people to go out and get their insulin and not sit at a 300 in order for Otto's benefit. As far as correcting high blood sugar, she said they would absolutely prefer that you return to manual for a correction, because this is something that auto mode can observe and can account for, rather than something like injections, no fill cannula, and no fake carbs. So rather than injections, fill cannula, or fake carbs. I also think that exercise would probably fall under this category. If you're using exercise to lower blood sugar, I don't think there's going to be much difference in regards to what Otto's seeing than if you're doing an injection to lower blood sugar. In this case, the only thing auto mode is able to track is the fact that your blood sugar has come down. It doesn't understand why. So what it's going to remember going into the days to come is that you needed less insulin than what you actually needed. It doesn't know you got more insulin, or it doesn't know that you exercised for an hour, to bring it down. We were talking about settings changes. I told her I was very uncomfortable changing settings. I wasn't really sure what I was changing them for, since I know what my settings are in manual mode and I know they work well. I said I wasn't really sure why I would change those in auto. And I did tell her that I was told at some point that changing the ICR and changing the AIT would improve auto mode's performance. And in fact, it was the only way to improve auto mode's performance. And in specific, that increasing your carb ratio is how you got to get overall bigger micros. And she said, no. She said, this is not the truth. She said, changing your carb ratio is only going to affect the insulin bolus that you receive, the amount of insulin that you receive at mealtime. She said, it's not supposed to affect your microboluses. She said, sure, you'll get bigger micros at mealtime because you're going to be getting more insulin in those micros. And she said, but it's not supposed to affect the rest of the day. She said, changing these settings, AIT included, active insulin time included, is not supposed to affect the performance of auto mode. She said those should be changed because of a physiological need. It should be changed with a doctor. And of course, then she went on to say that the concern would be that if you return to manual mode with all of these settings, that you would be, potentially headed into a very dangerous situation because it's more insulin than what your body actually needs. What else to say? So then I asked her, I said, so then what can you do to get auto mode to deliver more insulin? And she said, there is no way that you can get it to deliver you more insulin. She said, the idea is supposed to be that it studies you, it learns you, and it learns that you need that insulin. And that every time we lie to it, whether it be through adding, saying that we're getting additional carbs at a meal that we didn't really eat, or going out for a 20-minute walk, or whatever, that is not able to understand that we need the insulin. About exercise, this was interesting, and I have done this the last 2 days, and it's worked well during and shortly thereafter. She said suspending during exercise might be a way for auto mode to kind of understand what's happening with exercise better, because when you don't suspend and your blood sugar drops or rises, if that's what yours does, and it doesn't know why it's done that, it's going to adjust how much insulin you get around that time over the next couple days, or weeks, or however long it's doing this. But that suspending it is kind of like saying, okay, time out, And I have noticed that the last 2 days I've gone out for a swim, which is not my usual exercise. I have suspended before going into the water. I've taken it out of the suspend upon returning. I have not done any kind of correction bolus or anything else. And within about an hour and a half, I did exit to give myself a little bit of insulin and manual because I could see I was starting to rise. And then I did go back into auto mode. And for the exercise period and the hours afterwards, it did work well. When I exercised in auto the first time around, it did not go well. And that was because it would give me minimum delivery, sometimes for a full 2.5 hours, sometimes a reduced basal even longer. And then I'd hit a 300, an hour and a half or 2 hours after exercise. That's not happening. I'm still not sure what I'm teaching auto mode by doing it, but I have seen something different. What else? Okay, ISF and max basal. I know William, and I know, Giuliano, and I know that there are people who are like, yeah, no, these things definitely affect your bolus size. She says these things definitely do not affect microbolus size. She says max basal doesn't touch auto mode, and ISF doesn't affect it. It wouldn't change anything. Auto mode is constantly calculating your ISF based on all of these numbers that it's looking at. As far as my going into auto mode, she said, look, go in for a week and get out into manual as soon as you need insulin. She said, don't stay in auto and just let it run you high. Get out, let it see that you need the insulin and go back in. So I've been doing that for a couple days, and my numbers haven't been terrible. I've had 2 very big rises at night. And I'm trying to figure out what to do with them, but I realize I don't know when to leave. I don't know if I do a preemptive bolus or if a reactive bolus, or what to do. And I realize that really is my biggest problem with auto mode, is that it's enshrouded in mystery. And that diabetes is sometimes enshrouded in mystery, but not all the time. A lot of it really is just your numbers. Like, what to do and how to correct and whatever. And that auto mode kind of takes that away. So 3 days in, I don't know, I won't do it on this video, but I'm having kind of a tough time. And it's not because I can't get my numbers right. It's because I can't do anything else with my life. And then I cried in the car today. That's not good. Okay, it is 12 minutes. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back to do one more thing about their calibration. Have a good day. Bye.